Well, the hard part is there's this love for tattooing, and then there's also compassion for our clients. And so I feel that a lot of times artists feel guilty about charging more. And so there's anxiety built in that. And so it's really hard to kind of separate the business aspect from personalizing with a client, and being like, oh, this is a lot, I'm sorry, or whatever, and then not charging them the full amount. It's difficult, but it has to be done because this is our job. This is, no matter how much we love it and we love what we do and we love our clients, this is a job.
Yeah. What happens when all of your clients are your friends, which hopefully, we can all get to that place, because you have these long-term relationships with them and you really love the work that you've done together. And you just, there's that line that gets blurred. But when all of your clients are friends and all of your friends get a hookup, what happens to your financial security? It's not a good thing. And I think at some point you have to sort of face that, because you go through this cycle as a tattooer where, you need people to get the work that that you can do. And one of the ways that you facilitate getting people to get the work you can do is by giving out the deals. When I have someone who's been my apprentice at a shop, I would always say, look, whoever you're going to cut the deal to, you're ruining that person to ever be a great paying client for you and probably for almost every other tattooer. Like if they're getting like a free tattoo from you, it's going to be really hard for them to go and pay for that for someone else. So like my advice was always ruin one person, like if you need someone to practice on, like find one person and practice on them a whole lot, making them a person that, you can ultimately like take around to conventions with you to show off the work, to be in the contest if that's the kind of thing you're into. I think that's a strategy that makes a lot of sense, because once you get past that and you've proven that you can do the work that you knew you could do and you've gotten some great photos of it, now you can market that work to the client who would pay for it. And there's just like a milestone that you sort of cross when you go from like learning tattooing and getting through the fundamentals and getting comfortable with what your style is, and then shifting into, okay, now you're a professional in a real sense and you're going to have to treat this like a business.